Judy.
Hello there. How are you, Jason?
It's good to talk to you, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me this morning. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, not at all. So what article are you writing?
So it's interesting. I've known Rebecca probably longer than she's known me. we actually adventure raced together back in the early.
I was going to say, I swear to God, your name sounded familiar.
Yeah. We never raced on the same team, but we raced kind of during the same time. And I'm a photographer, and just recently, I guess in the last 2 years, I was going out to Jackson, Wyoming, and just reached out to Rebecca and said, hey, do you mind if I come by and photograph you? I'm going out to this workshop. And it was with someone that she had worked with before, Corey Rich. And so she said, sure, come on by. And so we kind of rekindled our friendship then, and want to try and tell the story that maybe hasn't been told yet.
Well, there you go.
About Rebecca and some of what I've seen, and certainly want to talk to you about some of her early upbringing and how growing up without a dad maybe affected her in the way that she approached even the sport of adventure racing.
All right.
Cool.
Do you want to ask questions or you want me to babble?
Yeah, let me ask a couple questions. So, I know the story. I've read the book. By the way, we met very briefly in Ketchum. I wouldn't expect you to remember, but I was there as well at the show, and I think it's actually the photo you posted on your profile page was one that I took of you and Rebecca. So we met briefly, but again, I wouldn't expect you to remember me. I know you were meeting tons and tons of people.
Fortunately, I was meeting a million.
I know, yeah.
But what do you want to know?
Okay, so what was the, obviously Rebecca lost her dad when she was 3. At that point, was she, how did you share that information with her? Like, how conscious was she of that?
Well, when he was shot down, Sharon was almost 6, and Rebecca was 3.5.
Okay.
And when he was first shot down, I didn't tell them actually right away, because what happens when these guys go missing or a plane gets shot down, if you're going to find out something, they find out something pretty quickly, within a day or two. And so I didn't say anything to the girls. I figured there was no point in getting them upset. We might find out that they came through, a helicopter got them, brought them out, big deal, all done. So I waited about 3 days, and no parachutes were seen, no beepers were found. They ran sorties over the area, no movement was found, blah, 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 blah. So after about 3 days, I did tell them. But again, they were both still very small. So what I said was, but they understood what the war was. You're too young, but back then, every single night it was on the news. You had clips of what was going on. They put the body counts of the Viet Cong and of our guys every night. So you couldn't not know what was happening. Anyway, so I sat him down and said, your daddy's airplane was in an accident, and they looked a little shocked, and then I said, but we really don't know anything more than the plane was in an accident. And we don't know if some friendly people found him and helped getting him out of there, or if maybe he got caught by bad guys and he's in jail, or maybe he got hurt and he's in a hospital somewhere, or maybe he even died in the airplane. We just don't know. And so that's kind of how I told them, because they were little, and they bought that. And they said, we really can't know until somebody can get in and go and look at the crash site, and, that will happen later on.
Right.
They accepted that.
And that didn't end up happening in terms of finding your husband's remains. What year was that revealed to you?
Oh, geez, let's see. It happened well, let me back up. Do you know how things work when they're trying to work crash sites? When they're locked up, they don't go to one crash site and do everything they can. They kind of go through in cycles. They'll go through crash sites. Can we identify this as being definitely a plane or not? And then move on to the next one and the next one. And then they start over again at the beginning and say, okay, now can we excavate and find anything? So they kind of go in cycles. They first determined that it was, yes, a plane went down there, yes, it was an F-4, and yes, it was theirs. Or probably theirs, because there was some piece of equipment, I don't know what it was, that had a partial serial number, so they knew that. But now you're going to ask me when.
Right.
Shit.
It's okay. It's not. It doesn't have to be. The date isn't necessarily relevant to the story, but if you do remember the date, I'll maybe.
Well, if I dig out, I could probably find when it first was. The key is that they identified that yes, the site was his crash site, and then it was about 2 years later that they recovered some remains and took them to Hawaii, where they do all of the trying to identify remains from as far back as World War I, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they took the remains to Hawaii. And I've got to say, this was after they declared him presumed KIA, and they didn't do that till he'd been missing 8 years. So
Okay.
72 to 8 would have been 80. Anyway, but it was in the early 2000s that we buried him in Arlington. So
Okay. Okay.
it was that kind of a time frame.
And so at that time, when you say early 2000, you mean actually the year 2000, or like just 2001, 2002?
No, 2001, 2003. And again, if I had my book here, I could tell you when he was buried in Arlington.
Okay.
And then we would know. Because Sharon flew down there because she did she escorted the remains back.
Sure. Sure.
And so she flew to Hawaii and escorted the remains back. I flew down to Tampa to stay with the girls. They were at McGill Air Force Base at the time. And then I flew the girls up to, and I'm trying to think where we connected. I think we either connected in, I'm pretty sure Charleston.
Okay. Okay.
And her plane came in from Hawaii with the remains, and my plane came up from Tampa with the girls. And then we all flew the rest of the way and then the dignified transfer that happened when we landed in the Washington area.
Got it. And was Rebecca there for that, or?
Yeah.
She was. Okay.
All of us were there for that. Rebecca and I, one of my brothers, my sister could not be there. The other brother couldn't be there. Yeah, we were all there for it.
Got it. And so Rebecca was actively adventure racing during this time. Did you see that closure that hopefully she was able to have, or at least some of the closure she was able to have by, honoring her father's remains? Like, did you see that any change in Rebecca?
I'm going to tell you something, but you can't use it because it will make my other daughter irritated.
Okay.
Rebecca's not particularly pro-military.
Okay.
And she doesn't get a lot that goes on with it. And like I said, you cannot print this, but it just helps you understand.
Sure.
To her mind, the Arlington thing was, in her mind, a waste of time. She says her dad is under that tree in Laos.
Got it.
And she just really didn't. She was there. She was supportive of her sister. She was definitely supportive of me.
Mm-hmm.
Because my older daughter struggles a little bit that, this is all my fault. And we had this horrible, horrible, nasty, disgusting divorce, which we didn't. We both liked each other up until the time he was shot down. What we figured out was we didn't love each other.
Oh, wow.
But we liked each other. And we visited, we kept in touch. When he came to see the girls, he stayed with my parents. What divorced guy goes and stays with his ex-in-laws?
Right.
Zero, right? So, but Sharon struggles with that a little bit. So Rebecca was supporting me because, anyway.
Okay, so I think,
yeah,
I guess I didn't understand.
Arlington was impressive. Arlington choked me up big time.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I'm sorry. That's just